Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. Hope you guys are all having a wonderful, fantastic, beautiful day. Today's upload is going to be a update on the potential for a major pattern change at this point. So my first video about this was possible pattern change. Now it's gonna be, then I think a couple days ago I released becoming more likely, and now I'm just gonna straight out, flat out put it out. Major pattern change is very likely. Much cooler temperatures, and actually first snow, many first frost for many locations, and this is some exciting stuff. We are getting into the winter pattern. So if you like these type of videos, if you like my channel, then consider subscribing to my channel. If you like these forecasts, if you want this type of stuff to keep going, then a great way for you guys to support my channel is by subscribing. So that is a great way to support my channel and really show me that you guys actually enjoy it. So I already explain it every time in every single video. If you want to subscribe, you could do it. Check out my channel and then consider for yourself. So you may be wondering, why is this on 18Z Tuesday when this is getting uploaded on Wednesday? Yes, this is actually late at night Tuesday, September 18th. I will be uploading this early in the morning Wednesday, the 19th, September 19th. And I apologize if the model runs are going to be a little bit outdated by a couple of model runs, but the main info should still stay the same. And the reason you may be wondering, why am I doing this, why am I pre-recording the video, is I'm very short on time. I have school, I have sports, I have everything like that, so I'm very minimal and low on time. I need to fit these videos into my schedule. So let's just get right into the video. So you can see right now we start off, this is the MSLP. So what we're looking at is a GFS, which stands for Global Forecasting System. 6-hour average precip rate, millimeters per hour. Obviously the light green is very light rain, and the darker you can see on the scale it gets. Purple, it maxed out at the heaviest rain, but we rarely see that. So let's go to hour 6, and let's just go forward. So you can see we move forward. You can see remnants of Hurricane Florence could actually they're talking about them returning back onto the U.S. land, which could occur. It could do this loop in the North Atlantic Ocean and just come right back. Not nearly as strong as it was, not even as a tropical system necessarily, just as just as some rain showers. But that is just a cool thing I'd like to point out. But the main thing we need to focus on is this this big storm that is forming in the west, and it just drives out a huge amount of rain into the northern plains. A strong cold front associated with quite a bit of heavy rain, and if you live in northwest Iowa, again, yes, there could be some severe winds going on, some very strong winds. So that is some exciting news if you like winds. And you can see that the high pressure after that takes dominance over the weekend. Some warmer, nice conditions over the weekend. However, we have this big storm right here starting to develop in the west. This is just a little prefrontal clipper-like system that will be skirmishing out in front of it, but this is where the real deal starts taking place. So what we see right now is just the storm, fairly weak out in the west around the state of Wyoming. It starts really ramping up, and eventually it turns out into a massive rainmaker. It is a storm basically stretching all the way from Mexico all the way into Hudson Bay and James Bay, very far up north. This is going to be a massive storm if it does form like it's supposed to be. And this, if you're wondering, is midweek next week, Wednesday, September 26, 2018. And you can see that after this, there's a high pressure and a lot of cold air comes in. I mean, a lot of cold air comes streaming in. And you can see we have these little small systems, and we see another system developing, but we already have the cold air set in place by the other system that we just saw by this system. Not that one. This system right here brings in quite a bit of cool air, and this is what, I mean, look at that. The snow may be reaching all the way down to the Illinois border, which obviously this is just a model run. This is way far out. This is 324 hours out, so this is most likely, most definitely, I'd almost say, not going to happen. The chances of this occurring are very slim, very low. Don't count on this thing will change 1,000 million times before it actually sets up. What I think will happen is some snow across the northern, say the Arrowhead of Minnesota, northern parts of Minnesota. The snow reaching all the way down here, I doubt it. But one thing we need to all agree on is the potential for the very cold or unseasonably cold air. Not necessarily cold, just very below average, unseasonable for that time of the year. So that goes through, and you can see that afterwards we could be seeing, just some snow in Maine, a very fall, almost winter-like pattern. So this is very exciting if you are winter lover, not level. And let's now go to the actual 2-meter temp anomalies, which basically show you whether it's going to be below or above average at what time, at what given place. If you're wondering where it's going to be above average, all you got to do is find a red color, your location, and you'll know. So let's just pick an area like central Kansas. You could see this is Wednesday, Thursday, much above average for actually quite a bit of the country. And Kansas, if you live in central Kansas, quite a bit above average, 12 to 16 degrees above average. That's probably going to be in the 80s and 90s over there. But in general, there's just going to be this dome. I mean, you can see it kind of looks like a dome. Peaks out right around the North Woods, northern Minnesota, northern Wisconsin, and it falls back down. It's kind of like a dome, like you'd see on a castle or a fort. And then that is basically going to get sort of destroyed by this system that we could be seeing, what I was showing about this first system that doesn't set much cold air in. You can see it quickly gets disintegrated out, and warm air tries making a comeback, and it will make quite a big comeback right before the storm. I mean, you can see this is just a beautiful, I just need to take out my drawing pad. This is just a gorgeous example of a beautiful fall storm. So let's go to a color. Let's just go to black. That's just probably the best color. So you can see the low is somewhere centered in right here. The warm front somewhere like this, and then a cold front somewhere like this. I mean, you can see that is a powerful cold front, and that moves through, and you can see sets in a lot of cold air. And with that second storm that I was talking about, you can see it tries bringing in a little bit of moisture or a little bit of warm air through here, right through there, but it sits somewhere right here actually, and you can see that passes through and brings even more cold air. Then another system tries making it through. That system that we actually were talking about with the potential snow, and I mean, look at those below average conditions in terms of temperatures. I mean, really below average temperatures. If we were to look now at the 2-meter temperature shaded, which basically shows you the actual temperatures at that given time, you can see that the frosts are going to be getting pretty far south. So this is, if you're wondering, Friday, September 28th. This will be end of next week, not this week. So this is very far out. But again, we need to look at this is why it's called a long range forecast, because it's far out and it's a long ranger. Basically, it goes out into basically it goes out more than 10 days, these forecasts, or at least for the next 10 days. And you can see during the daytime highs for much of the country don't get out of the 60s, don't get out of the 70s. So you can see September 28th, definitely already, this is past the summer fall equinox, and that is basically when the night and the days are equal in terms of length. So I mean, we've been getting shorter days ever since July 21st, but since once September 21st arrives, we're going to be crashing down into shorter days and longer nights, and soon enough, I mean, at least here in the central part of the country, we will be, or depends how far north you go, because the farther you go to Minnesota, the shorter the days will be. But you farther go, say somewhere in Illinois, I know that sometimes it gets dark here already at around 4 o'clock, so during the winter time, so it's very short days are coming, and that basically allows the temperatures to stay on the cooler side. So you can see this is a part of the warm phase of the storm. You can see warming up, and if we were to see the same above average conditions as we were seeing in this storm right now, we'd be in the 80s or even 90s. But you can see that the average at this point by October 1st is, say, in the 50s for much of the country. So above average is in the 60s and 70s. So you got to get used to it. I know it always comes so quickly upon us that spring is so slow to come. There's still always, at least this spring was very slow to come. Most springs are fairly slow to come, especially if you're wanting spring, if you're wanting the warm temperatures. It's always just happens. If you want something, it takes longer to come than something versus something you don't want to come. And many people don't like winter, but it just comes on a snap. I mean, I know time is flying for me, and before we know it, we will be seeing our first snowflakes here in Chicago. And you can see if we go to some of the coldest days, you can see the frosts. 36, 33 down here in much of central Midwest. Again, this is the GFS, so not necessarily 100% accurate, but if we go to a model like the CMC, it's also showing some fairly cooler conditions, or at least slightly below average for parts of the Midwest and eastern part of the country. If we go to by 2-meter temp anomaly, you can see it's marked by the blues, so right there's a big storm and a lot of colder temperatures. So it's not just the GFS. The GFS is sometimes crazy, but if we were to look at the European model, it would also show the same thing, and I just want you guys to look at this. If this were to come true, this would be a pretty big chill, a fall blast, I would like to call it. Once it's winter time, I could call it an Arctic blast, but at this point, I would just call it a fall blast, bringing temperatures down into the 50s and 40s for some people, and for the daytime highs, and frost for many lows at night. So this is exciting in my opinion. This is very, it just shows you that winter's on its way, and we have a lot of preparation to do in terms of packing up the yard and cleaning up our gardens, because soon enough first frost will hit and a growing season will be ended. I know I have quite a bit of people that watch me that do have gardens. So I would like to show the total accumulated precip right now. This is from now to the 4th of October, and you can see not too much. Again, winter is not necessarily a wet part of the year for much of the country. It's more of a drier season. It seems maybe equal because the snow is, snow basically comes in a sort of form where it's very minimal water and it could still be a huge pile of snow. So some of the ratios can be 30 to 40, especially if it's colder. So winter is actually not really much of a rainy season at all. So these amounts, again, this is still fall, so these amounts are still slightly below average. But again, I was showing you guys in I think it was video a couple days ago, how for the next couple of days we should still be seeing a fairly dry pattern. And then with that big storm out in the there will be several big storms happening out in the upper Midwest and into, say, northern Minnesota, northern Wisconsin, parts of southern Canada, and those were the storms I was showing you earlier. So that is basically it for today's video. Actually, I want to show you one more thing. This is the 8 to 14 day outlook by Climate Prediction Center. You can see below average conditions for, this is 8 to 14, so 26th of September to 2nd of October. You can see they're already putting out 50% chance of being below average, and this is still fairly far out. So I do think this is setting up for a nice fall pattern, especially if you like fall. You will definitely like this pattern that's coming up. If you like the snow, maybe not necessarily, not yet, because I don't think it'll be cold enough or below average enough for it to produce snow. But if we were to get this during the winter, this would definitely be producing some below zero readings. But still not winter, it's still fall. We got to look at what we are having currently. And thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate you guys watching. Please consider subscribing to my channel. Please consider liking the video. And as always, I'll see you guys in the next episode.